Hey folks, welcome to my channel. I'm Brooke Ritchie. I'm a musician, a film composer, indie rock artist, and also a trauma survivor. I have been a victim of a lot of different types of trauma: human trafficking, aggravated sexual assault, near child abduction, childhood trauma, religious trauma, a lot of things, gang stalking. And I'm here blending all of my experiences together to help people, to help the world be a place of peace and to get rid of chaos. And I think the way we do that is by looking at our own stories of, I feel like I'm a very reactive person. What is it that's wrong that's causing me to be this way and create little chaos flare-ups in my own life? So this series is on suppressed trauma, and this video specifically is on identifying a suppressed memory and where to find it. And it's as simple as doing math. Okay, so think 1 + 1 = 2, right? Let's say you have 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4, but you're missing 2 of the ones. Okay, so you have 4 aspects of a memory of the total, right? You have 4 aspects of the memory, and 2 of them are just haywire, gone somewhere. You can remember this one and you can remember this one, but there's one over here and then there's another one over there that's just completely gone. So think of it like this: it's just math. It's reverse engineering a little bit of, I can remember this aspect of this time in my life, but I don't remember all of it. And or you remember bits and pieces of things that don't fully glue together. So this is what you can do. You can ask yourself a few questions. First, where to identify, where did the suppressed trauma, where's the suppressed memory in your timeline, okay? You can ask yourself, when did I start getting angry in life? When did I start really trying to excel and exceed in other areas? When did I try to compensate? Okay? When did I try to overcompensate for what I was experiencing by a means of, it's really a means of dissociating. I'm one of those. I was a high achiever, just always going for like the best grades, MVP player on sports teams, like trying to do the best, trying to get all the awards of things everywhere in everything that I did. And in doing that, what I was really doing, I was ignoring everything that was below the surface. So you can ask yourself these questions. For me, I've shared that, and if you've read this on my website, when I was 15, I was forced out of a van to walk back home by myself 3 miles, and I blacked out those 3 miles. I still to this day can't remember the 3 miles, but I remember now, after doing the work, after doing the uncovering and the unveiling of the traumatic event itself, can remember the event, and I remember getting back into the neighborhood. I still don't remember how I got home, but I know that I walked. So you can ask yourself those questions, and that is what's going to help you just identify roughly where in your life that the suppressed memory is. When you roughly get there, okay, so you're in the rough ballpark of, okay, somewhere between the ages of 10 to 15, like 15 to 18, or whenever it was in your life. When you get into that rough ballpark and things start to get hazy, that is where you can start looking for fragments. So in my experience, I get kicked out of a van. Not physically, but I was forced out of the van, like made to get out of the car. And for the longest time, all I could remember is that this happened to my sibling. This is where you use math. Okay. My sibling at the time was 12 years old, 11 years old. Logically, it made no sense. Logically, it did not make sense that this would happen to my sibling over me. And that was a key fragment of the suppressed memory. So for the longest time, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I remember that experience that someone was like forced out of the van. But I remember seeing the van drive off in front of me. Okay, so that's another fragment of it, right? So you're looking for those fragments, the 1, 2, 3, the four ones that make up 4, or however many fragments there are. Math and logical reasoning, okay? And most likely, you'll be able to, once you start stitching a few of them together, the rest of them are going to come back really quickly. But there might be parts that you just never get to. So for me, I stop in my memory of, okay, I remember swerving off the road in a like reactive response to something I had said. I remember taking my backpack out of the car after, I was yelled at 3 times to get out of the car. I get out of the car, I try being sneaky and like opening the other door while I'm shutting the front door so that I could get back into the car. And then the van moves away. And then it drives off after that, after the door was shut, after it had moved far enough away from me. So I remember that. I remember thinking, this is a joke. This has to be a joke. And then I walk forward and then I turn down the one street to get to the other main road that we would take home. And that's where the memory stops. So I remember this whole traumatic event, it's only like probably 2 minutes of time. It's not that much time, but those 2 minutes that shut down, that my brain was like, nope, we can't do this at 15. We feel that threatened. It dictated my life for 15 years. And this is why you want to do it, because you don't want to live a reactive life. You want to live a free life. You want to be making conscious decisions. You don't want to be living out of survival mode. You want to be thriving, right? This is why you do this. So you're looking for fragments. After you find that ballpark, after asking yourself those questions, when did I start doing these things? And when did I start to really kind of do things not out of love for what I love to do? That's a great question to ask yourself, but started to do it to overcompensate and appease for something I lost. After you get to that rough ballpark, then you look for the fragments and you ask yourself, okay, what's missing? Is that logical? Is it logical that this would have happened to my 12-year-old sibling? No. That means who else was in the van at the time, looking at my story. And then what else? And then you keep going to unveil it. And then what else happened? What happened around that time? If you can't find the fragments right there, what else happened around that time? For me, within 6 weeks, I had whited out all the color in my life. So this was a form of blacking out, right? It's a form of blacking out and major dissociation from your life. You don't want to be there. So you change everything about your life. Change is good. Change is the only constant in the world. But when you are that, impacted from an experience that it causes you to do something that you normally would not do, something else is calling the shots. Okay? So for me, I whited out all the color in my life. My walls quite literally were this yellow and a green that matched it. So it was like lemon and lime. Completely whited it out. I got rid of the colorful backpack I had to wear on that walk home and whited out a green pair of slip-on Vans, and even like forgot just everything that brought me joy. So like my favorite bands, I stopped listening to them, started listening like hard left into listening to different kinds of music that wasn't associated with anything that was me. So this is what, if you can't find the fragments right away, you can ask yourself those questions of like, okay, did I make any major changes that was out of, that was more of a crying out than it was of a, oh, look at me, I'm going to do this now, right? So I hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, comments, please drop them below. I have links of resources for you to help you along your journey, including my guide, Goodbye Trauma, which is a comprehensive look at the things I've experienced and the solutions I've found along the way, including the cure to HSV-2. I was passed on this virus by my attacker in September 23. About 13 months later, I was healed from it with the power of my voice. And that's what I specialize in. I specialize in vocalizing what is going on underneath the surface so that it brings you into your reality. You can also do this in Amplify Your Voice, my 6-week program, which helps you to launch forward in your life. If you are feeling stagnant, you don't know what the next step is, you feel like you've lost touch with yourself and you don't really know who you are, Amplify Your Voice will help you identify with yourself. It will help you look in the mirror and love what you're seeing in the mirror. And then you can also work with me one-on-one in my 3 months program of Own Your Voice. And this is where we do a lot of mirror work, where we go through my 5-pillar framework to really help you build like your foundation of your voice and then amplifying that, expanding it into 3D dimension. If you have any questions, I would love to get in touch. Feel free to reach out. And I hope to see you and see you thrive, because we're not here to be in fight or flight for the entirety of our days. We're just not. So peace and blessings to you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.